Okay, so for our first presentation, we have someone who will share you more information on one of the most used engines we have here in our indie community. Please welcome Mathieu Muller from Unity. And his amazing beard.
Hi. Hi. Password. So, hi. I will present to you Unity 5 in this presentation. The harder thing when you do presentation is to give a title to your talk. So we were talking about very shiny titles like Unleash the Magic of Unity and so on. So I was thinking, yeah, Unity 5, what it is, and in a joking way, saying it's better, faster, stronger. And since I'm French, and this is a country of Daft Punk, I said maybe it's the right title. So this presentation is not harder, but easier, better, faster, stronger. About myself, very quick, I've been working for 13 years in the simulation industry and the game industry. I've also made music videos. So that's why the Daft Punk talk is great also, because I love music. And actually, Unity is also good to make some good music stuff. About you a bit. So if you are using Unity, you are part of 3.3 million people who installed the editor, and 640K almost of people who launch it every month and use it every month. It's also very nice because it's not, I was a developer for 13 years, and it's nice because with Unity you cross a lot of not only developers but artists, game designers, web designers, architects, students, and even sometimes kids. There are some 11-year-old kids doing games with Unity. About what we can do with Unity, I can do a small survey and see if you know some of the titles. So, do you know what the title on the top left? You can shout if you want. Monument Valley, very good. And the next one? Oh, okay. And the next one? Yeah, very good. Did you make it? And the next one? Yeah. So it's not Assassin's Creed Unity, but it's Assassin's Creed made with Unity. It was soft launched in Australia on an iPhone, an iPad. So we have Assassin's Creed Unity made with Unity. Not Unity, but it's called Identity. The next one here, you know this? It's like super hot. Yeah, very good. From the neighbors, almost neighbors. The next one, it's called Hitman Go. Yeah. The next one is a great game I recommend everybody who wants to have fun. It's called Gang Beast. You should try it. It's very, very funny. You can play until 8 people, and you fight, and it's physical based, so you can grab people. It's very funny. The next one is not a game. Do you know that? Yeah. It's a web magazine on iPad where you can look at tattoos and stuff like that. So Unity is not just made for games. The one on the bottom here, The Room, no? It's a very good game. There are two of them I recommend. This one is one of the most sold game made with Unity. It's funny, because who knows it? CSR Racing, very good. The next one is a browser game. Who knows? Yeah. So it's a browser game, like kind of EVE Online, made with Unity. And the last one, it's called Republic by Camouflage. It's a very good game. It's free. The first episode is free. So what I like here is that there is no identity made by the engine. Like you know, there are not two games who look like each other. There are some on desktop and on the web, on browser, or just on iPad. It could be a magazine. It could be used in architecture or anything. So I think it's very nice. Do you guess how many applications were installed on desktop who are actually running with Unity? Do you have a guess? Is it more than 100,000? Yeah, more than 1 million? Okay, I give the answer. 600 millions games, like applications, are running with Unity, are installed with Unity. And on mobile, can you give a guess? More than 1 billion? 8.7 billions. So it's the meaning of that is that if you use Unity, you can be kind of sure it works in the end. It's installed 8.7 billion times. How to web with Unity? So I forgot to say that the entire talk will be around Daft Punk somehow. So how to web with Unity? Actually, it's just if you're doing something on the web with Unity, it's exactly the same as doing something on any other platform. You start thinking a lot about how you can assemble stuff together. So like, if you want to 3D print your helmet of Daft Punk, you have first to think about what are the pieces that will make it work together. And then you start making the gray boxing of your game or application, and then you polish it. And then when it's very shiny, then you can go to the web and say, I can plug it and light it and so on. So why to web with Unity? We have the web player of Unity has been installed in total plus than 800 million times. So you will find people who have already the web player installed on your browser. It's close to native performance, so you have like your actual game, like it will run almost like a standalone game. And you can use it for, like here it's a configurator. It's a browser game here, and here on the bottom it's a French game called Typewriter, where they made interesting, like, there are some very interesting models where when you make a game, like this company made a contract with a French-German TV channel called Arte, and so the channel gave them money in exchange of having the 4 first levels on their website. So with the web browser, they could install it on the website. And then you can play it on desktop and on iOS and Android. So you can reach the entire scope of users if they like playing on games or on desktop, or if they like to play on the web or anywhere. And so what is special, what to web on with Unity? So first you have the 2D, 3D game engine and GUI that Unity is. And on top of that, what is web-related is the web player. So you can deploy it on the web player. Now we are previewing a WebGL component so that when you launch your game, it doesn't ask for, do you want to install this plugin? Because many people are afraid of saying yes. But with WebGL, when you will arrive on the page, it directly runs on the page. You don't have to allow anything. In terms of code, we have something called www commands, which allows to retrieve anything from a given URL. So you can retrieve textures, you can retrieve movies, you can retrieve audio, you can stream it from the web. You can download just parts of your game and applications at runtime. Also for the application I showed before, the architecture things, that allows also the constructor to add some new pieces of, like a new coach and anything, even if the application doesn't change, they just stream it into the game. And asset bundles, which is done for that, to carry your assets from the web to your game. So that's it. I will go into Unity and how it's easier. So how you can relaxly code your game like this. So the new features, the UGUI is actually already available on 4.6. So the new stuff that makes easier to code is the new GUIs, the audio mixer. Mechanim is a state machine which was used initially just for animation, but which can be used just to code behaviors and logics in your game. 2D physics effectors, asset bundles to carry things, and standard shader. So I'll do a quick demo about how easy it is. So for the new GUI, you start from a white page. If you want to do an application with just a button, then you just add a button, and then everything will be rendered, all the buttons will be rendered on the canvas. So you go in 2D mode, and then you have your button, and already, yeah, you can click the button. If you want the button to do something, before you needed a coder just to make the script between what happens when I click on the button and what it does. So since, again, it's a Daft Punk talk, I wanted to create a synthesizer using the new GUI. So if I click on the button, I want a sound to be called then, a sample. So what you do is just you create an audio source, then you choose a sample, and so that if you want to play the sample when you play the button, it's quite easy. You just go here, you selected the button, and on click, you want your audio source. So when I click, I want my audio source to, like here we have all the components of the audio source. It could be also your own script. And here I want, for example, my audio source to play. So after that, if I press, so there is no sound, so you have to be very silent. It's going to play a sound. Yeah. So that's it. And then we have what is very interesting with the new GUI, that you have all these, you can move around and you can move this anchor around, because one of the problems with when you target multiple platforms is that you have multiple aspect ratios. So where will be your button on an iPhone and where it should be on an iPad. So it should be maybe smaller on an iPad, but still has some pixels from the border. So you carry around this little anchor here. You can define at which percentage of the border it should stay. If you put it on the corner and you move this one, you see the numbers here are the number of pixels it would be. So if you want it to be always at 72 pixels from the border or 71, but be at a certain percentage from the ground, you just open the anchor, and then it's going to be at 17% from the bottom and at some pixels from the border. So if we look into the game here, when you scale, you see that the button stays the same size, but it stays the same number of pixels from the border, but it kind of go away from the bottom. I can try it with different aspect ratios. You can also decide that your button has to scale. So you can just open it and decide that your button will scale itself. So same thing here. If I change the aspect ratio, you can see that the size of the button is scaling. So it allows to very quickly target multiple platforms with the GUI. So once I've done that, I wanted to create a synthesizer, but there are many buttons, and I didn't want to decide every anchor of every stuff, so of every buttons, of every keys. So what I did, it's small. Okay, here. So what I did here, it's a very small resolution, but anyway. So what I did here is that I just added a game object on top here, and I added a component called horizontal layout. So you have this layouting that you have in classical GUI stuff, where every buttons will be spread across this space with some different width and minimal widths and preferred widths and so on. So now I have a kind of synthesizer where, so here I scripted it. You see when I press here, I wanted to have the number of the keys, and on the keyboard there are the E sharp and the B sharp, which doesn't exist. This one here should disappear. So I actually scripted the GUI so that it gives the right name, puts the right pitch on each button, so that when you press play, it just hides the buttons that I didn't want and right. I added the slider, which is a button directly, and a loop button so that I can make some loop. And I put this related to the pitch, and this to the volume. And then what is nice is that once I've done one keyboard, I was like, yeah, one keyboard is quite boring. You want to have multiple sound. But then on a GUI, it doesn't fit very well to have many keyboards. So I said, oh, but we have a 3D engine, so let's make the GUI in the 3D world. So just to do that, you go to the canvas, and here we said that this GUI should be on overlay, but now I want to move it to the world space. So when you do that, you can take your GUI and start rotating it and scaling it and putting it everywhere you want in your game or your application. So I just put a cube, and then I put the audio source on top of a speaker, like another cube, and so that was this one. Okay, so now I just moved it to the 3D world, and I have the same GUI but in 3D. Since I like music, rotary speaker is something funny that you simulate usually in your amplifier, but here I just moved the cube around with the animation system. And if you would be next to me, you would hear the sound going left and right. So it's working the same, but it's just in 3D. And then the good point with that is, like, you take this keyboard, you make it what we call a prefab, so it means that it's kind of a package taking everything together, and then you just have to duplicate it. So I duplicated it, and then I have like a multiple keyboard, multiple keyboards with different sounds. So you can, yeah, that's it. So you see how easy and quick it is. I did this demo the first time I put my hands on the GUI, and it took me like 2 hours to do this, with the time to discover how it works. And also what is good, also there is something new. Like you have, in your game or in something like this, you have multiple sounds. Like here I have 4 different sounds, and in a normal game, if you want to mix the levels and have a bit more of, I don't know, the shootings and the music and the voices, you have to go to every component, see where they are in your game, and then go to them and say, I want this one a bit louder, and so on. You have to go to them. And in the music industry, doing this is like if you record an album and there is a sound engineer, and each time he wants the volume, he has to go next to the musician and say, can I put a bit louder, this one? And come back to the stuff. So what they have is that they have an audio mixer. So that's what we added in Unity 5. So now you can create an audio mixer like this. And the only thing that you have to do is you go to your sound, and you just say, I want this sound to be output in one of the mixers. So here it's a bit sound. So if you play, if I play again and oops. So if I do this, I have an audio mixer like in the music industry, and then I can put down the master here, or I can put down any track, hopefully. And then we have a bunch of effects that you can add. Can we see it? Oh. So here we have a bunch of effects like distortion, flanger, and so on, that you can control live. So, like here's distortion. Yeah. And this is all controllable at runtime, so you can add buttons controlling it, or you can make your gameplay depend on it, increasing the distortion if there is an explosion or something like this. So that's how it's very easy to do something with Unity 5 and the new GUI and so on. We are also better than before. We have better looking graphics. We have global illumination and runtime illumination. We have reflection probes, so you just put an object in the world, and it will generate a map, a cube map, generating what is seen from this point. And every object which are in this area will reflect what they see, so you can make very shiny characters. I will show a demo of that. We have light probes, so that if you bake the light map, so when you have a world, and you want to light it, in the real world, if you have a red wall and a white ground, illuminating it, the red wall will kind of make a red light on the ground. So it's called global illumination. If you don't have global illumination, your wall, you can increase the light, your ground will always be white. So what we do, we bake light maps so that it will register that the light has bounced on the ground. And, but what happens for a moving object? If you have a car or a character going next to the wall, it should be also kind of red. So we have light probes that you put in the world, which register the light that should arrive in this position in the world. And if your character goes through that, it will be illuminated in a global way. So I will do a small demo of, very quick, because time now. So, and there is something else that we have. It's called physical-based shader, which guarantee that that whatever the environment is, your material will react correctly. Consider the environment. So, for example, one example of this is. So this is okay. So this is, I took a robot here, which was a Unity 3 robot, which was normal and so on. And you can change the background. If you feel like the robot is still the same, the background doesn't change anything. Then if you put a standard shader instead of the other one, so let's go to the robot. And this is a robot. So here you see it's a legacy shader, the way it was before. If you go to standard, you can start adding some physical properties to the material, making it a bit more specular or shiny. So now if I just play that, you see that it's integrated way better in the world. You feel like he is in this environment. It's just not a piece of mesh integrated in the world, and you can push it to very very specular, and that will go something like this, and I added some animation on top of it, and then you have this character which is correctly illuminated. Like it also, again, it takes from the robot we had before to this robot, it takes like 5 minutes to increase the quality and do the robots the way you want it to be. And looks like super realistic. Yeah, this from the back. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so that's global, that's standard physical-based shader. Okay. So we have SpeedTree also integration. So SpeedTree is a company who has been doing trees all its life, since something like 13 years. They just do trees, and how to render them at runtime, how to render a lot of them, so making the right LODs so that you don't see the difference between one tree which is on the back and actually just a plane, from the one in front where you have all the leaves and everything. It works with the wind and so on. So we integrated, like SpeedTree is now integrated inside of Unity, so you can create your own tree inside of Unity, and you can also buy a bunch of super realistic trees on the asset store and just bring it into your game. We have a new close system, so it's super easy to make clothes on a character. You just put a mesh which corresponds to his clothes, and then you had a close component, and then you just give how far they could go away from this relative position, and then you can influence it with wind or anything. We have 64-bits editor also. That's very useful when you do a very big level, like one company is doing an entire city in one scene. So right now with Unity 4, it kind of crashes every 2 hours or 1 hour. And with the 64-bits editor, it just makes life easier. So that's some examples of the physical-based shader. And this is reflection probes. So what happened here is like just the guy who designed it. It's made in Unity. Alex Lovett. You can see his website. It's very good. He just added a reflection probe, so just an object in the middle. We just took a picture of what's around, and then put his robot, put the way I did on the other robot, some shininess on some parts, and that's what it does. You see also the global illumination for the surrounding. It's quite realistic. So these are stuff that he took from GTA, and he just put them in Unity and use the global illumination. We are faster than in Unity 4. Why? We went to physics, NVIDIA Physics 2.2 in Unity 4 and went to Physics 3.3, which was completely rewritten. But it's multi-threaded now, so I don't have time to show it, but if you come to see me after, I can show how the multi-threading works on Unity. A bunch of stuff are multi-threaded. Occlusion culling is multi-threaded, and also skinning. We're working on a technology called IL2CPP, which, because all the scripts are made in C# or JavaScript, and right now it's interpreted at runtime, so it's a bit slower than compiling it as C++. So we have this technology which allows to when you are done with your script and you don't want to change it at runtime, we can kind of bake it to C++. And we have a bunch of platform optimizations like Metal, for the people who know from Apple. On iOS 8, there are some graphics optimizations. And we work with Intel on x86 devices. I think they are producing like 40 million of them, so we guarantee that it works well on them. Gang Beast. Oh, this is an example of why the difference that these guys from Gang Beast, they wanted to see if there could be a multiplayer with like 40 players, and they have a lot of skinning and physics on it. So they sent us that trying Unity 5 because they were at 14 FPS, and now there are like 45 with all this stuff moving around. And stronger. Stronger is because you just can focus on games and not on the rest. So Unity Pro is free for PS3 and PS4 and Xbox One and Wii U. So if you're a dev on these platforms, you don't have to pay Unity. We have a partnership with Oculus Rift so that it's integrated inside of Unity. Right before it was a plugin, and now it's getting into Unity. So even the free version can develop on Oculus. And also we will bring better performances and easier integration. You will basically just do your game for Oculus the same way as another game. Instead of targeting iOS, you will target Oculus Rift. WebGL, so I talked about that before. We released our first game, even if it's Unity 5 is on beta and the WebGL is on preview. There is already a game released with 400 levels and sound streaming and everything, and it works well. And it's close to native performances. If you're GPU bound on WebGL, it's going to be almost the same performance as on standalone. Some things that people who are using it, they probably know what I mean with fixing the scene merging, allowing people to merge scenes together. We're working on that. We also want to provide a tool to make a semantic merger so that it's really easier to merge. And Cloud Build. Cloud Build is also something which makes you gain a lot of time. So when you develop your game or your applications and you want to do it on iOS, Android, and so on, usually each time you want to build something, you have to compile the assets so that they are compatible with iOS. You have to compile the assets so that they are compatible with Android. It takes some time, and you launch the build and you wait. And waiting is something which is not good in the industry because you just don't do what you're good at. Waiting is, maybe it's good to have a coffee, but except for that, it's not interesting. So the cloud build is just, you say, this is where my game is. This is a URL of my source control. This is where my game is. And then we will monitor each time something changes. We will build it on the cloud. And once it's built, we send you an email with a link to the iOS app and to the Android app and so on. If it doesn't work, we send you an email saying that you broke the build on this platform. And if you're working remotely with other people also, they don't have to come to your desk and take the plane. They just receive the message that you can install the game that you just did, like you just committed something, and a few minutes later, somebody on the other side of hers can play it on his iOS. So this is a service which is on beta now, so you can subscribe and see how it goes. And then Unity Ads, it's another service which is included in Unity. So if you want to make a game and you're not making money, or you want to try making money with ads, you just add, I think it's like 2 lines of code. It's honestly 10 minutes to integrate, so it's worth it. And then you can have ads in your game, video ads. It's only game-related videos, so it won't be diapers or cars videos. It's going to be other game videos. And you can do stuff like, if you watch the video, you can have 1 gem or 1 sword or 1 weapon, whatever, 1 life more. And then it allows the entire community to grow because you're promoting other people making games and they are promoting yourself. And every play, which is kind of related to Unity Ads, it's something on Unity also included in the version that you can take anytime a video of what you're doing on your game. So you're on iOS and you're playing your game and you thought it was super nice, or you beat a record, you can press share on Facebook, YouTube, or the Everyplay network, and then you can show it to your friends and people can rate it and try to beat your score. You can do a Hall of Fame also with videos of actually people beating the record. Like this game here, Super Notes. It's a game where you build stuff a bit like Minecraft, and people, they build like crazy stuff with this. So they are sharing videos of it. So yeah, what's going next? We are working on a service for analytics so that you know what happens on your game, how long people are playing for each level, and how many people installed, and who installed in which country, and so on. And then cloud collaboration is if you don't want to set up a source control, you just say, I want to cloud collaborate with somebody, and then it's the same. We take care of the source control of your game. Yeah, many things, but the time is over. So yeah, any questions? Thanks.
Thank you, Mathieu. Guys, we have time for like 2 questions. So yeah, over there. One second.
There's a microphone on your left.
Yeah, hi. The 800 million users you've mentioned, is that since Unity keeps track of them, or actual users that have the plugin installed now?
So it's 3.3 million users. So there are 2 things. There were like Unity users, so people installing the editor.
No, the plugin ones, I mean.
The what? The web plugin?
The plugin ones, yes.
Yeah, so it's 800 million installing the plugin.
That 800 millions that have it installed now, or overall?
All time. It's around 200, between 200 and 300 millions per year this latest year.
Thanks.
And it has been around for 4 years, and at the beginning it was like 50, and then 100, and then 300. And now it's kind of stabilizing because most people have already installed it. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Hey, my name is Bogdan Popa. So when will Unity 5 be out, and will the WebGL player be available at launch?
So when, you know?
A time frame, a relative time frame at least.
Yeah, no, it won't be in 2020. It will be before. No, it's gonna. Actually, the truth is, it's feature freeze for a long time. So it's just a matter of stabilizing it. We have already many people using it on beta. We have some games being released knowing that you're on beta, and if it fits for your project, it's all right. But we have still a big pile of bugs to fix, so it's going to be basically when the pile of bugs is fixed. Yeah, it cannot give a date, especially in front of cameras. Yeah, and second question was...
will the WebGL player be available at launch?
Yeah, the WebGL is available on Unity 5 as a preview because the WebGL tech is also not very mature, so we cannot say it's, we cannot guarantee that it works all the time. But yeah, we have already a games release on WebGL, so yeah, it is available. Yeah. Yeah, there is a number that I didn't know, I don't remember if I told, but there are already 13 millions installed of the web player, Unity web player. And we are still on beta and preview, so it's already used. And
thank you, Mathieu. Guys, Mathieu Muller, Unity.
thanks.